I'm really close to getting my friend another day, at least a non-Discord or e-girl, you know what I'm saying, which is 10 times better as an option for him at least. He needs social experience, like real social experience and better social cues because he already messed up the last day. So he said something to me the other day that was really interesting. He was saying that he feels like he built a life that hasn't met the standards of other people his age, right? Or people who he looks up to or what he feels like he wants. He feels like his life would have been way different after high school. Rather, he would have found better success because he had everything planned out, but it didn't go as essentially he expected, right? So like right now he's feeling like there's hope though, considering he's finally going out there and he's starting to build social skills instead of rotting on the internet all day. But still, he's just unhappy with his life outcome so far. So I was telling him I can relate to that. You know what I'm saying? I had the same thing way before, you know what I'm saying? Before I graduated high school and even shortly after graduating, I thought I had everything figured out. Boom. I was going to go to school, enter medical school later, become a resident for a certain amount of years, and finally become a neurosurgeon. Probably getting married somewhere in between that. You know what I'm saying? Well, none of that happened. You know? Rather, where I'm at right now is nowhere where I even expected. It's actually what I didn't want to happen after graduating. I've met with countless failures so far, but everything sort of worked out for the better. I don't even at this point like think my failures or darkest moments I went through as a negative experience. It was needed, you know? And I was telling them that, look, the way I think about it now, you shouldn't try to aim to be successful per se, because it's going to distract you from building a life that genuinely makes you proud. Success is pretty much observing what you gained. Social status, financial income, titles, etc., etc. Success most to all of the times is measured by what you have, right? What you obtained, gained, whatever. But being proud of what you've done is more about how you gained it and who you became in the process. That's why I'm saying don't focus on success as your pure motivation. Don't focus on the gain, focus on the process. If you distract yourself from the process because you're so desperate for these gains, you end up losing motion. So like with my example, I remember when I was really pursuing wanting to be a neurosurgeon, and I remember I would always, I such a vivid memory because I was so hyped for this. I was like, I can't wait. I'm going to be a neurosurgeon. I'm going to be a neurosurgeon. I'm going to manifest it. I'm going to be a neurosurgeon. And I would always look up on Google the salary, how much a neurosurgeon made per year. It's about 700K. And think about what I said earlier. Think about what I just said and how I explained my relation to what my friend is going through. Everything I said has nothing to do with me growing up. Listen to what I said. I'm going to go to school, go to medical school, become a resident, and become a neurosurgeon, and I'll get married. You know that takes like 14 years to become a neurosurgeon, right? Like, I'm not a robot. What am I going to do in between? What's going to happen to me in between? Like, is life just going to like be the same? Am I just like, what, like, do I have the endurance to study for 14 to 16 years? I'm not saying it's impossible. Look, I can't even pay attention in high school. I couldn't even lock in college. And yet my focus was, ooh, 700K, yeah, you know what I'm saying? I get, bro, I'm gonna have that doctor title. I could put that little doctor thing on. What do people put on their license? They put the MD, right? On their license plate, on their car, like, yo, I'm gonna be that guy. You see though, you actually gotta sit there and actually examine your intentions. There's a what I want conflicting with how I want it. I'm so focused on the gains, I never really asked what really felt right to me. Well, actually, it felt right thinking about 700K a year. Oh, I like to help people, right? It's true. I do like to help people, but like many people do. I mean, does that mean be a neurosurgeon? Does that mean invest 15 years of my life to do this? Like, and you know, I think some of it came from some external pressures as well, because my father is like, oh, you gotta be a doctor, you gotta be a lawyer. So, you know, like that put some pressure on me. Like, see, what I'm thinking about these titles. I'm thinking about the money. But I'm not thinking about anything else. I'm not thinking about where my heart is at. I'm not thinking about what's right for me. Like, and even like, why a neurosurgeon specifically? You like the brain, dude? You like brains, bro? Like listen, I can't look. I could work really hard. Let's say I went down that pathway, right? Let's say I work really hard and become a neurosurgeon, right? I could become miserable though. I could be miserable. Who knows? Who knows if I'd even be able, like, what would be going? Look, I had huge anxiety issues and I was poor at handling my stress years ago, even recently. Even as a kid, my stress issues were bad. Like me working at the hospital though, imagine me doing surgery on you when I couldn't control my emotions and I couldn't control my stress. Again, outcome. That's all I care about, it seems. No process, no inner work, no patience, can't manage my stress, can't manage my emotions. You think the school's gonna teach me that? Like, okay, that's why you have residency. You know how many doctors are still like that though? You know how many people who go through residencies or like any sort of internship and they still can't control their stress or their emotions? What, these are the things though. It's not where it's at, I just want this. I want that. This, that, yada, yada. All right, well, like, how? I kind of know how, the process, but, you know, look, I was terrible in school to begin with, but I can't wait to have that salary. My heart just wasn't in the right place. What's more important to you? What's more important to you, right? Achievements and status or character and contribution? What's more important to you? Competition or your own personal excellence? What's more important to you? A life that stresses you and feels empty despite your gains? Or a life that you can genuinely say you're proud of building? Look, two things can happen at once. You can be successful and be proud. And you could find fulfillment and excellence in your character at the same time. But if your heart truly isn't into something and you stick with it, eventually you're going to feel burned out. And anyone who's been through this, I ain't lying. Like, you're just doing it because you thought that was cool. That was the way. You just can't wait. You were inspired by somebody and you was like, I want to be just like them. I want to do exactly what they're doing. It's like, but your heart ain't into what they're doing, to how they became what they became, how they got those titles or whatever, or how they made their money like that, Like, you end up feeling burned out, and then you feel shameful. You feel like you lost your identity. You're like, some people, they're overly competitive for no reason. They're going to be a title chaser as well. Like, you just want status. And a lot of people will recognize this midway and then stop. And then they lose that motion that I mentioned earlier. And then you're going to feel like my friend or myself, where it's like, well, dang, I had everything planned out. Or I thought this is what I wanted. I wanted this. This was my outcome in life. But I think my intentions were not truly there as I thought. And actually, I think some people don't even realize that as well. Like, they think they're just a failure in life and never self-reflect on their intentions. Like, maybe you failed, or maybe you went through this hardship, or you feel like you didn't make it in what you made it in because you didn't really look at what you truly wanted. Was this right? Was this really right for you? Or is it just external things that you're sort of pursuing? And this is why I mean there's a difference between the outcome versus the process. What feels right to you? And, I feel like some people, they don't ask if they made that choice because it looked good or sounded good to others or themselves versus what truly felt like what was right for them. This is why you should always work hard. You should always work hard no matter what, but focus on building a life that makes you proud. The process. And by doing so, eventually the way will be found. You're naturally just going to attract to something like that. If you work hard and you focus and you try to make your life something you can, like, I'm proud that I did that. I'm proud that I'm going through this. I'm proud that I grew and I became the person that I'm becoming, or I overcame this obstacle. There's just so many things that are going to be perceived differently to you that you might pursue that are completely different than wanting validation. You can look yourself in the mirror and be like, you ain't have to you're not even grandiose about it. You just like look yourself in the mirror like, dang, been through a lot, but I'm happy. Happy I made it this far. I'm happy I did this, I did that. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, let me know how you guys feel down below. Love you all. I'm out.